Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Invoice Management System app. This is video 9, and in this video we're going to be looking at how to delete a data, and the system should prompt us to confirm if we want to actually delete a record or not. If you like our work, you might want to support us on Patreon, link in the description. So I'm going to show you an example of that. This is the app that we were building. So now let's say if you want to delete this first record, where you have a customer name of Lamin, invoice number 2. If I select delete right here, it's gonna ask us, are you sure you want to delete? If I click cancel, it will take us back to the list of invoices. Now if I click delete again and select yes this time, you can see the data is actually deleted, right? So this is what we're gonna do in this video. You have the codes right here with all the steps. So you're gonna have step 1, step 2, 3, and 4. It's that simple. So the first step is to create the view in the views.py. Okay, so I'm gonna copy the code for the view and then paste it in our views.py file. I'm gonna scroll down all the way down here and paste the code right here. I'm gonna save it. Now to explain the code, we're gonna have a function that is gonna delete the item. Now that function will have a parameter. It's gonna take the it's gonna accept the primary key of the item we want to delete as a variable. So now if you pass in that ID, it's gonna do a query set. So this is gonna be a variable, and that variable will be equivalent to the query set with a filter of ID. So the ID will be equivalent to whatever ID we passed in here. Okay, the value of the ID we passed in here. So it's gonna do a filter, and it will get the ID of the object we want to delete. That's gonna be supplied by the URL. I'm gonna show you that very soon. Now whatever ID is passed in here is gonna filter this invoice model, and then the object will be assigned to this variable called query set. So it's gonna do an if statement. It requests the method equals post. That is, if we actually click on the yes button, okay, it's now gonna check if we did a post. So if it is equal to post, it's gonna do query set dot delete. So the dot delete is a function that's gonna actually delete whatever is assigned to this variable. Okay, so that's what is deleting the object, and then it's gonna redirect us to the list of invoice URL. Okay, else it's gonna render the invoice, the delete invoice HTML. So I'm gonna move to the next step. Maybe that will make it easier for you to understand. This is where we're gonna create a form, the form that's gonna ask the users if they want to actually delete that object or not. That is gonna be in a template. Right now I have the entry template, the home template, list invoice template, and the nav bar. I'm gonna create another one. I'm gonna use the entry, save it as delete underscore invoice.html. Okay, so I'm gonna replace the form with the one I just copied. Okay, this code right here. I'm gonna delete this form from here all the way down here. I'm gonna paste in the code that I copied, set the indentation properly. Okay, so now the form is what is gonna ask the users, okay, if they want to delete. Now we're gonna have a h1 tag right here. This is our regular CSRF token that is needed for all form processes. Now the h1 tag is where we're gonna put are you so you want to delete. Okay, so it's gonna be in an h1 tag. Then we're gonna have an input class. Okay, the button will be a bootstrap class, btn danger. That is the red button right there. And we're gonna have a type of submit and the value of yes. So this is the yes that I showed you when I was doing the demo of the delete. and then we're gonna have another one, but that's gonna be an anchor tag with a URL of list invoice. So that is where, if you click cancel, where it is gonna redirect you to. Okay, so that will simulate our cancel button, and this will be our yes button. So if we click yes, this is gonna trigger a post method, or a post method of the form. So this will trigger this post request right here. Okay, so that's what this is listening to, this view. Now I'm gonna move to the next step, that is the URL part. I'm gonna copy this and then paste it right here in views.py. Sorry, the urls.py. So the delete button right here needs an ID. Okay, this is what is actually passing the ID to the delete view. Okay, the delete view right here. So it is gonna be very similar to the update URL, but this time we're gonna be initiating delete instead of doing an update. So if you look at the URL pattern, they are exactly the same, but running different views. Okay, the update is running the update view, while the delete is doing or triggering the delete invoice view. Okay, so I'm gonna save it, and the URL pattern will be like delete underscore invoice slash then the ID. Alright, now to be able to know the ID that's gonna be replaced, or that's gonna be put right in here, that's where we will need the anchor tag, and that's gonna be the next step. So this anchor tag right here at step number 4 will be in the list invoice view. I'm gonna add one more, like if I come back to the app, okay, we're gonna add a delete column right here. That's what I'm doing with this code. I'm gonna add delete right after the total delete. I'm gonna copy the code again, paste it right here, click save. So this is the URL that is gonna pick the ID, the instance.id. It's gonna pick the instance ID, and that's the pattern. We're gonna have URL, and then in this string we're gonna have the URL name. Then this will be the ID of the object that we are hovering on, or that we want to click on. Now if I open the app and do refresh, you can see we have delete right after the total column. Now check right here, you'll be seeing that the if I hover on the delete, you can see we hovered on the object with an ID of 3. Okay, right here. Okay, if I hover onto the next one, it's having an ID of 5. The next one is having an ID of 6, ID of 7, 8, and so on. Okay, so the URL right here is what is picking the ID of the object that we hovered on. And now this is the text that you're seeing right on the browser here. You can replace it with an icon, with a delete icon, like an image. Okay, but I've showed you that on our previous tutorials. This time we just want to make it simple by using just the text. Now if you click on that delete button right here, it's going to take you to the URL, and that URL is what is calling the template. If I come to views.py, you can see the delete view right here is calling the delete invoice template. That is prior to clicking the yes. Okay, so within this template is where we have the form. Okay, so in that form we have these two buttons, the submit button that is going to be having a value of yes, that is this that you see here right here. Okay, and you can see the class BTN danger, that is to alert the users that this is a little bit risky, just to remind them that it is to delete. Okay, that's why we choose btn danger right here, and this one is just btn primary. That's gonna give us the blue color. Okay, and the value for that will be the cancel, and the cancel, like I said, is gonna take you back to this URL, while the delete is gonna trigger the post method for the form. So while you click on the yes, it's gonna do a submit, and that submit will go with a method of post. Now the view will look at that request that comes in, okay, that was passed into here, and then check, do a test, is that equal to post? If it is yes, it's gonna do query set dot delete and then redirect you to the list. Okay, now I'm gonna click yes. Let's click cancel to test. Okay, and next time we will click the delete. Right, so let's see delete. You can see that data is actually deleted. Right, so this is what I want to show you in this tutorial, and I hope you enjoy it. If you find this informative, I would invite you to click on that subscribe button, like this video, and share it to your friends. So if you have any question, leave the comments in the comment section. You can also comment on the website. Okay, so see you in the next video.